Welcome back to Cheddar Esports. Don't forget to follow us on our Cheddar Esports Instagram if you want to see some cool videos that we have up there. Ooh. Yes. Now we see everybody on Twitch, that naughty Nimbus. I see you. What's up, everybody? Everyone's super excited to be in here, guys. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe to our Twitch channel, guys, to get the cool, sweet emotes.
All right. Well, the Gamertag Radio podcast has been a staple in the gaming community for the last 15 years, delivering scoops, enthusiasm, and expert analysis to players around the world. And the show just celebrated its 1,000th episode, in which they interviewed Microsoft's head of its Xbox division, Phil Spencer, about its upcoming console, the Series X, their plans for the next generation, and much more. Joining us now are the show's hosts. Well, we have Danny Pena right here, and of course, Parris LILLY. Yeah, Danny.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey.
Thanks for the invitation.
Yo, what's up, Parris?
What's up, Parris?
Hey, there he is.
I was hoping to actually see you for the first time. Next time we have to get you into the studio, Parris.
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it, and thank you for having me on today.
Definitely.
All right, so first up, congratulations on your 1,000th episode, both of you. The show spanned 3 generations of gaming. That's a minute.
That's a long time.
So what's it been like being in the scene for that long?
Yeah, it's crazy because when I started going to like gaming events, this was like in '01. It was during the Sega Dreamcast days, 56K modem, and now we're like, now it's like all digital, different console now, and it's been a crazy ride, and I just love that I've been seeing the changes throughout the years with just gaming. When I started Gamertag Radio was during the Xbox One days, then 360 was coming out a few months after that, and now we're going to the next generation console now later this year, man. So I'm excited, man, very excited, and it hasn't been perfect, it hasn't been a smooth ride. It's been bumps here and there with our show. But I kept on going, never give up, and having Parris and also Peter on the show, that helped out a lot too, because they motivated me to be better as a podcaster, and I'm just glad that we finally reached 1,000 episodes, podcast. Amazing. So yeah.
What about you, Parris? What you actually reached to this point? What are your kind of like takeaways from having done this for so long?
First and foremost, I always thank Danny, because I'm not doing this without him responding to an email to me, but way back in 2006, because I used to be a listener of Gamertag Radio in 2005, and I eventually wound up joining full-time in 2013, and just the ride's been amazing. Myself, Danny, Peter Toledo, shout out to Mandy, love you. We've just been a family together all these years doing this podcast and covering the gaming industry, and it's just been a blessing and an honor, man. It's just super exciting to finally get to 1,000 episodes.
And you've also, guys, won the podcast. You were honored for the Podcast of the Year, I believe. Or?
Yeah, it was Podcast of the Year, also inducted to the Podcast Hall of Fame. First Latino, shout out to the Latinos out there. And it's not only that, but we've been getting also a lot of opportunities like traveling around the world. Parris and Pete have been to Paris a couple of times, London, we've been all over the place, and that's cool that a lot of companies been giving us opportunities to check out the games behind the scenes. We get to meet like the producers, the developers, And I always say this, like, what worked for us is going to events and just network with people. I want them to see us face to face. I think that's super important, that interaction, So I think it helps out for content creators. Don't stay home. Get out of your house. Get out of your house. Yeah.
So for your 1,000th episode, that's a mouthful, by the way. I have a struggle every single time I say that, right? Phil had a bit to say about the transition from the One to the Series X and the plan, kind of seeing more of a transition than a definite upgrade. What are your thoughts about the new generation, and can you tell us a little bit about what to expect?
Yeah, well, my prediction, this is my prediction. I think everything that we've been seeing now with Xbox Game Pass, with Project X Cloud, it's not even about console anymore. It's more about subscription. It's more about having a choice. Hey, if I want to play console, want to play PC, maybe mobile, there's different choices now for me to play Xbox games. So like recently, just yesterday, they gave us access to play Xbox through iOS. So now I'm playing on my iPad, playing Halo, going online. I could talk to my friends, and I think there's going to be more of that in the future. It's not about like power. It's more than just that, So the thing that I wanted to see from Xbox is all about the exclusive content, like first-party titles. Because this generation has been kind of, okay. It could have been better. I think 360 and the original Xbox had like a little bit better content, in my opinion, especially 360. So I want to see more of that, So
Parris, do you have any counter predictions?
I won't counter them because Danny is the master of predictions. But what I will say is that Phil Spencer said it best on our interview, that they're focusing the next generation around the player. And that means it's not about, we need you to go buy our Series X for $500 in November. Instead, we're bringing our ecosystem to you where you want to play. So if you're still on the Xbox One, that's fine. If you want to play on the PC, that's fine too. You want to play on your iPad, your phone, we don't care. We're creating these services so that is catered around you to players so that you're number one. So it's more about enjoying playing the games than worrying about what platform you're playing them on. And I think that's how gaming in the next generation should be.
Parris, that is so refreshing to hear. We need more of that. Yep. And we've heard, drips and drabs about the Series X machine itself, but what insights did Phil offer about this new console? We want to know.
Well, they're not going to give us too much because they're going to save that to E3. But I mean, we saw it, it got revealed at the Game Awards, and it's obviously a unique design right now. And the Series X itself will be very powerful. They're talking it's going to do native 4K, 60 plus frames per second, 12 teraflops, whatever a teraflop is. But it's going to be a very powerful machine. It's going to have ray tracing, things of that nature. So this thing, if you pick it up and you connect it to your 4K TV at home, it's going to be a powerful machine that is going to show games at their highest fidelity. But if you don't want to pick up a Series X, say you're like me and you want to throw $2,500 at a gaming PC, you can do that too. And you're going to have that high-end experience there. Or let's say you don't care about 4K, you don't care about frames and ray tracing. Keep your Xbox One. Play it on there too. It's about the choice. Or if you're a madman and you want to play all your games on your phone over 5G, you can do that too with xCloud. Again, it's about about the player and the choices for the next generation.
I like that. Danny, can you add to that?
Yeah. And I think, and here goes prediction time. I think, imagine, I get the console and I bought Halo, or maybe I'm part of the Xbox Game Pass subscription. Without me downloading, I could play the game within seconds while it's installing in the background. That I could see something like that too for the next generation. So I think there's gonna be a lot of that, man. And I'm excited to try out, next gen, man. Next gen Halo Infinite in November. I'm excited for that, man. I think that's gonna be a very important game for Xbox, though.
I think so too, especially since there's a resurgence in the Halo esports scene, especially since it's been around since forever. I think it's one of the OGs when it comes to esports, and they kind of had it dying down. Obviously, Ninja's a former Halo Pro player, and there's a lot of former Halo Pro players that have kind of gone into esports, gears and whatnot. So what are your thoughts?
I think, especially now with all this content creators now part of Mixer, I see them also promoting all this content in Xbox later this year. We're going to see Ninja talk more about that, playing these games on Mixer, maybe talking about it in different videos, like maybe a Jimmy Fallon or something like that. I can see a lot of that, getting a lot of the content creators to be involved with that and promote the product too.
So what we won't see though is Phil mentioned that there will be no plans for the VR space. So can you tell us why exactly? I mean, obviously there's success with Sony in the realm. Why are they not investing in it? They have this supercomputer that is coming out.
I'll say this: I think this is a great moment for Parris because he started this conversation with Phil online. Ooh. So Parris is all you, man, all you.
Oh yeah, I'll be more than happy to take this. So this goes back to what Phil Spencer said during an interview at XO19 that people aren't interested in VR and that Xbox wouldn't be pursuing VR. So that turned into a social media buzz, and Ryan McCaffrey at IGN says something about it to Phil Spencer. I replied to Phil Spencer, and I basically said that, it was kind of disappointing that he said that. I would hope they keep the door open. And then he replied to me and kind of was like, hey, I kind of overstated what I said. And then he came on our show and clarified it even further. And I agree with this. No one needs VR for Xbox at launch of the Series X, but it's just simply keeping that option open because, matter of fact, I think it just got dated today that Half-Life Alyx is coming out March 23rd. To me, that kind of signals the 2.0 version of VR. As we have Valve Index, which is their hardware to play VR. We're going to see PlayStation obviously come out with a new version of PlayStation VR. It just didn't make sense to me that Xbox would not embrace this at some point, since, like Phil Spencer said, they are the Windows company and VR works on Windows. So he clarified himself and said that we're going to focus all our energy on making the launch of the Series X the best that they could possibly be. And then once we get past that, if we see an uptick in interest in VR, then we can start having that conversation. And I think that's more than fair.
Yeah.
That's more than
Yeah, I mean, business-wise, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's better to see how it is, and then later, if it works out, yeah, add
They
it to
can
the
always
Xbox.
add it as a component, as an extra thing. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And we always see how things go poorly in gaming when things are rushed.
Yes.
So we
yes.
don't want that.
No, we don't want that at all. Definitely want that at all.
All right, so Danny, one of the best deals in gaming right now is probably Xbox Game Pass. Now, for a very small subscription price, you can get access to all these games. We were looking at the rundown, and I was just like, why am I not on Game Pass? So you can get it on the Xbox, you can play it on the PC. So what sort of plans does Phil have for the service heading into the next generation?
It's all about content, first-party content, and especially also third-party content. We're probably going to see a lot of those for this generation. The thing that I love about Game Pass is, perfect example, my friend Neil from Cinemavos, he asked me, Danny, I want to get an Xbox One, but I don't want to buy games. Do you think Xbox Game Pass work for me? I'm like, hell yeah. Go to that, and honestly, once Halo comes out, he's a huge fan of Halo. Once Halo Infinite comes out, he will have it there at day one. He doesn't have to go to the store to buy it, So I think it's a game changer, in my opinion, because the more we're going to see that in the future with Xbox, I think, PlayStation might do this in the future. Well, they have a PlayStation now, but I think they're going to start adding just first-party content there. Day one is similar to Xbox, and I can't wait for Nintendo to do something similar like this. Competition is good for the consumer. So now we have the choice, to try out Game Pass or not, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Parris, what are your thoughts?
Again, during our interview with Phil Spencer, I think he said it best, because I said the personal story that I was at the Game Awards and they unveiled Hellblade 2. And I was like, wait a minute, I've never played the first Hellblade. And that came out in 2017. So because I had Game Pass, I was able to go back and revisit that game and play it, and it was phenomenal. But the point that he was making is this extends the life of old games, because now you kind of have that sense of ownership, because it's a part of the subscription, you don't feel like you're spending money to go out and play an older game. But if you get great word of mouth about something old that you didn't play at the time, now you can go revisit it on your time and play it and not feel like you're throwing money into a new investment, because you're already a part of that subscription service, the Game Pass, which again gives you the first party Xbox games day one as well. Like Danny mentioned, if you have Game Pass, you already own Halo Infinite. I mean, that's the mindset that you can start having now, having this kind of subscription service. I truly think it's going to revolutionize the industry. I mean, we've already seen EA do a version of it. Ubisoft has done a version of it, and it would not shock me in the least at some point to see PlayStation do some version of this, because it's consumer friendly. It gets us to invest into that ecosystem. And once you're already invested, as a consumer, you're not going to leave, because you have access to hundreds of games from day one. It just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and one last thing, I think what is important is for Microsoft to send the message about the service to the casual people that doesn't play Xbox.
Absolutely.
So I know at Times Square they had a huge banner advertisement everywhere of Gears 5, and it said not in stores, but it says available on Game Pass. So we're going to see more of that in the future from
Make it more mainstream, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Bring
Yeah.
everybody in.
Yes.
Everybody in. All right.
Yeah.
Danny, Parris, thank you so much for coming to the show to talk with us. We
Thanks a
appreciate
lot.
your insights.
Thanks a lot.
And guys, if you want to check
Yes,
out their
thank you.
1000 episode, please be sure to go to twitter.com/Gamertag Radio. Guys, up next, Arno from the University of British Columbia will give us details on their collegiate esports program. And later, Gears 5 esports caster Colin Clark will be back on the show to talk to us more about what just happened this past weekend. You're watching Cheddar Esports. Don't go away.